Hello again, Pastor Michael Jarbo here. Welcome to another edition of Soul Care, conversations to help renew the spirit. I'm glad you're here. Check out today's episode. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Soul Care. Happy Friday to you all. We're still on the Pastor's Edition, and might I say, we saved the best for last. The one and only Reverend Jim McPhail. Jim, good morning to you, brother.
Good morning, Michael, and good morning to everyone watching.
Great
to see you and be with you.
Yes, I'm so happy about this, and thank you. Jim is I have the longest tenure of any pastor except Jim McPhail, who doubles, maybe triples mine at MDUMC, and I have learned so much from you, brother, and I'm thankful to call you a friend, and I'm happy to do this fun interview. It's stirred up some good conversation with the other pastors, so I'm looking forward to hearing some of your answers to these questions. So are you ready to go?
I'm ready.
Okay. Awesome. Here we go. The first question we always start off with is sort of kind of getting, why how'd you get your start? What's sort of maybe a bit of your call story and how you realized that you wanted to be a pastor?
Well, I grew up very active in the church, and my whole family, mom and dad, were very, very active. And I went to Sunday school and MYF every week, and that was just an important part of who I was. And it was really in high school that I felt the calling into the ministry. And so from then on, I sort of groomed myself to go into the ministry, to head to go to seminary after college. So I think it was a calling that started slowly, but continued to even build, throughout high school, and just felt God leading me. I felt like that it was easy to witness to others about Christ, and just felt very comfortable, sharing the good news.
And where when you went to seminary and then you got your first appointment, do you remember where and how did that that first experience? A lot of us at MDUMC right now are in our first appointment. You've served multiple churches before getting to MDUMC, so maybe just a quick share about where you've served and in that regards, and maybe what you've learned there.
Well, first of all, seminary was a time for me to sort of move about the country. I grew up in Tyler, Texas, and because I had seminary ahead, I decided to go to Stephen F. Austin University for my undergraduate degree. So that was not far from Tyler in East Texas. So then I started out at Candler School of Theology at Emory and spent 2 years there. And they had a program that if you served one of their churches, that they had a covenant relationship as a youth director during the summer, then the church and the seminary would pay for your whole tuition for the coming year. So that all you had to do was to come up with room and board, and that was your only expense. So that was great. And the other part of that being great was I served a church, right, a large church on top of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, right on the beach, Pompano Beach.
Wow!
So I was there for 3 summers and had a great experience there. So
why'd you leave? Why'd you leave the beach church, Jim?
Well, exactly. Yeah, it was hard because I finished that first summer, and the senior minister wanted me to stay on as youth director and forego a year or 2 of seminary, but I just it was certainly tempting to do that. But I just felt like seminary was sort of what my long-term goal was, and so I came back every summer for 2 summers after that, and
cool.
And that was a neat experience. And then I spent 2 years at Candler and then a year at Asbury Seminary, graduated from there, and then went to did some postgraduate work at Perkins School of Theology. So I went to 3 different seminaries, and
All over.
very different, and had a different feel with it. So that was good. But back to your original question. So sorry to go around the bush so long.
That's okay. You and I do that
You
together.
know what? I started out, my first really official appointment was as associate pastor and youth director at Nacogdoches First Methodist, there where Stephen F. was.
Mm-hmm.
I was acquainted with Stephen F., but really not the town and the church. And so I stayed there 3 years. That was a lot of fun. I was the first associate pastor that they ever had. They just had a senior pastor, even though it was a pretty large church, downtown. Before I got there, even though it was a much older church, 2 years before I got there, they had just finished a brand new sanctuary.
Wow.
And so that was fun. And so I had a good time there. But what's different than some of you that are younger that are serving Memorial Drive sort of as your first church, after that, I served a 3-point circuit up in East Texas. So the big church had 120 members, and then the other church had 40, and then my small church had 15.
Oh.
And so I would stay at the church at Tatum. I would do the 11 o'clock service every Sunday, and then at 8:30 I would go to one of the 2 small churches, and and then and it was 20 miles apart. So I would finish there and then have to drive back to Tatum, for the 11 o'clock service. So it was pushed it quite a bit,
That's right. Yeah, I bet you did. And maybe that's where you got some of your incredible driving skills from, Jim.
Well, possibly. That's right. That's right. Well, that reminded me. I remember one Sunday afternoon. You're going to ask about a funny story, and I'd forgotten about this. But one afternoon, as I was on the way to preach at one of the little churches, a buzzard flew up from the side of the road. I mean, right in front of my car, and I hit that buzzard with the windshield, and luckily it didn't break. Luckily, the buzzard didn't end up inside my car, but it looked like someone had taken a baseball bat and hit my windshield. So, and it was hard to drive. It was cracked so much, so I had to get it replaced rather quickly.
Was Janie in the car with you there?
No, this was just before we married. She was
Okay.
delighted to, I think we were engaged, and she was delighted to hear about that story.
Yeah, she heard. Yeah, she heard about the story. Wasn't a part of the story.
That's right. Exactly.
Well, great. Awesome. Thank you for sharing some of that. Yeah, that 3-point charge stuff is no joke. And many of you who served in many years before, a lot of us young folks know that experience a lot more than probably many of us ever will in that regards. And so thanks for sharing a little bit about that. So the second question I got for you, Jim, with all your connection to churches and the number of people that you've gotten to serve across Texas and really across the Southeast with your connections in Florida and Georgia and Kentucky there at Asbury. This sort of African proverb has come up that I lean on a lot, that it says a person becomes a person through other people. And I love that line. And so I just kind of want to hear in the life of Jim McPhail, who is someone that has made, and I know it's hard to nail down one, the list could be long, but who is someone in your life that's made an impact that comes to mind?
Yeah. Well, I guess one was Dr. Wayne McCleskey up at Marvin Church, Tyler. Marvin has been out of the Houston area. It's been the largest church in our conference, for decades, probably for a century or so. Still a great, strong church. And Dr. McCleskey served that church when I was in college and seminary. And so I got my license to preach and entered the entered the conference through Marvin Church. and he had been a district superintendent, so he sort of knew the ritual and the role of getting through that process. Dr. McCleskey was not a strong preacher, but he was a great pastor. And one of the popular pastors at that time in Tyler was the minister at First Christian Church, and I would go hear him some, and and he then knew that I was going into the Methodist ministry, and he knew Dr. McCleskey, and he made this comment about him. He said he is a professional with people.
Oh,
And that really stuck with me in how dealing with people, dealing with the various members of your church, and sort of how to be a pastor. So he had that type of of influence on me.
that's good.
So yeah, he was really a great man in that sense.
It's a good name. Awesome. And
Mm.
I would say in turn that you are a professional with people as well. And I'm glad you gleaned that wisdom from him, and that you've taught so many who have come after you as well. So thank you for sharing about a little story about him. Okay, yeah. So you already told the buzzard story. You're already one ahead of me there, Jim. But how about another? Give me a funny moment that comes to mind in ministry. Some of my funny moments involve you, Jim, without a doubt. And so maybe something that comes to mind for you, because in ministry there's plenty of heavy and hard times, so you need those moments of levity and laughter to be able to sort of sustain here. So go ahead, share a funny memory, perhaps.
Well, I guess one of the ones I thought of was I served in the early '90s. I was senior pastor at First Methodist Lufkin, and it's a good, strong church, a well-respected church, and and we shared TV time with the Baptists.
Okay.
We would take 2 months at a time and take turn on being on television. But I don't think this was one of the months we were on, though. But I had an associate minister there that I invited to come and be a part of it. And he had been serving a small student appointment, not too far from Lufkin, and came in. And so one Sunday morning, I got up and got up in the pulpit, and I started something, part of the ritual. And then all of a sudden I said, "It's not my turn." And everybody laughed, and I sat back down, and Mark got up, and when he did, he looked over at me and he started laughing, and even though it was his turn, he was laughing so hard he could barely get through what he was supposed to do. So just one of those times, that you just step up and realize, I'm not supposed to be there.
Yeah, yeah,
And, so
yeah.
there's nothing else but just to acknowledge it and sit back down and go on.
Oh my gosh. That reminds me of the time I walked out when we were in the sanctuary together. Jim and I would be liturgists together in the sanctuary. And, those early days when I wasn't sure, I'd walk out there to receive the offering, and it wasn't the offering time. So I stood there, turned around, bowed to to the cross, and then walked back over next to you. And you were like, "Nope, it's not the doxology yet." So, oh my gosh, those moments where you just you just got to play it off the best you can. So,
Oh, exactly. Yes, yes.
and the more confident you look, the more it makes you less look like it. You probably should, saying things like "it ain't my turn" is probably what gives it away. Good, very good, very good. Okay, so we moved from funny. Let's move to a little bit more poignant. Also, you've had many powerful moments in ministry, and especially in your ministry evolving an MDMC, sort of first moments of life for people with a new birth, and also last moments of life with people who have gone on into eternal glory, and maybe and also life in between. So for you, Jim, what's one of the more powerful moments that comes to mind in your ministry. Again, we could be on here for an hour and talk about those. But what
Yeah, yeah.
what's one that speaks to you?
One of the great things about being in ministry is that we become involved with people in different parts of their lives, from, as you said, from birth to death, and the baptisms. Um, and um, I remember going to see someone in our church who was giving birth, and luckily, I just, she said, "This is not a good time." I said, "Oh no, that's okay. I just wanted to let you know I'm outside the door. I'm here, but I'll check with you later. Goodbye." you know. But and then other times, with the baptisms, those are just, just special times. And we don't do it much now. As they used to have baccalaureate services, religious services for graduation, and so we do that now at Memorial Drive through our senior Sunday. And then after that, a lot of the church doesn't realize it, is that we have a luncheon for the youth and their parents. uh, and and uh, and I did it at some of my other churches like that. And I remember at Lufkin, sometimes we had asked, as we do really here, "Where are you going to college?" And some of the families, the youth had not made up their mind where they were going until that moment. And they said, and the family would come up and say, "I'm so glad you did this, because, we'd try to get it out of him or her, and, they just wouldn't make up their mind. But, now they sort of have." Um, but one time we had the students at Klein United Methodist. We had them come up and wear their gowns before graduation to church, and just say a little bit about themselves and where they're going to school, and some and I got one of the nicest notes from one of the parents, just saying how special that was to include the religious part of their graduation, and for the church to realize that's such a big deal.
Yeah,
And we've always at Memorial Drive, I think, emphasized our confirmation class,
that's
just
right.
to be there with them as they sort of move from being a kid to more of a teenager, and beginning to mature, to understand a little bit more of their faith. Those are powerful moments. When that happens, and very emotional for the parents. I mean, I've seen lots and lots of parents wiping eyes, as we've laid hands on the kid's head and shoulders,
Yeah,
and whatnot. But I guess also over the last number of years, I've been involved in a lot of uh, memorial services as we celebrate a person's life, and I've been fortunate to have so many family members thank me, for making it a celebration, but also making it personal, to try to find out and tell a little bit about the uh, person. And I remember within this last year, uh, the mother asked one of the daughters, "Well, do you think Jim will make it personal?" And I think they were very pleased about how personal it was, and how I could weave some of the stories and histories that they had given me, because sometimes we don't know certainly all of their stories and
right.
things like that. So those are powerful moments, without a doubt.
Yeah, yeah. It's not. Yeah, it's you spoke of the life of the Christian, right? And
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can find powerful moments from baptism till memorial service, and so
Yeah, yeah.
beautiful. Thanks. All right, so sort of the last question before we get into the speed round, which I'm looking forward to hearing your responses on that one. I just like to check in with each of the pastors and say, in John Wesley's words, "How is it with your soul? How are you doing during this time of quarantine and pandemic and um, tension within our country and our world?"
Wesley asked that a lot. How is it with your soul? And we don't talk about the soul as much as I think that they used to, because that conveyed how is your spiritual journey, how is your spiritual walk, how is your relationship, with God, how is it with your soul? So I think that's an important question, and you know, uh, this is a tough time, I've been very fortunate that I'm not, that I'm with Janie, and it is, better being with another person. It'd be very hard, and I feel for those who are very much by themselves, and those that haven't had a chance to get out some. So even in this tough time, I think it's good with my soul,
Good.
and I think I think our soul is both how we are individually, how we do our prayer time, and I know a lot of folks do their prayer time early in the morning, and I just sort of say, "Good morning, God. This is the day the Lord has made." But I really do my prayer time more in the evening.
Yeah.
Uh, but and and so that is individual, but I think also it's community. I think as we are with others, as we are part of the life of the church, we're part of the life of Sunday school. I think that enhances our soul as we are together, and this has been a tougher time since we haven't been together.
Yeah.
uh, and I'm glad so many people have really missed the church. I've had several say, I really didn't know that I would miss it this much.
Wow.
Uh, but I think it's both worship as well as being with the community of believers.
That's right.
And so I think it is those others that lift us up, that support and encourage us, that helps us with our souls.
That's good. That's really good. Good answer. And yeah, community is so important. That's why we have to do stuff like this and create community in unique ways. So I think our church has done a good job of that. And yeah, it is good to hear people are like, we're ready to get back. And I know
Yeah,
we're,
yeah,
we're
and
trying to
we
be as
are.
safe as possible.
We're so ready, just when we can. But I know that we have to do it at the right time too.
All right. You've made it through the first part, Jim. Congratulations. Big,
Thank you.
big hurdle. And now it's time for the rapid 11. So I'm going to ask you 11 quick questions. And I
Okay.
want you to answer them as best as you can for me. And um, here we go. First question.
Okay.
Fill in the blank, Jim. Ministry is blank.
Uh, Ministry is a great variety. It is not the same every day. There are certain things it involves, but because you intersect with people, it's a great variety. That different things come up, different family situations. We're involved, in the great moments of life, but we're also involved in the crisis of life. So that has been something, and part of it is ministries being able to change hats quickly, because we wear different hats depending on the situation and what comes up.
Good. Question two. You're called to be brave, but the fear inside of you is real. What's the first thing that you do?
Well, other than pray, nothing I could really think of, specifically. It sort of depends on the situation. You just sort of plow ahead, whether that's having to meet with someone or call someone, make an apology, or try to smooth over something that you didn't handle near as well as you wanted to, but just try to sort of get through it like that.
Good.
So,
Good.
well,
All
I'm
right.
not sure it's so good, but anyway.
No, it's good. Prayer. Hey, you
Yeah.
said prayer first. We'll take that answer. That's worth 100 points. Okay. What is something people often get wrong about the one and only Jim McPhail?
Um, well, that's sort of hard to say. For a while, people just thought I worked just with the senior adults.
Right.
Certainly that was an important role that I had, but I had just a much wider role at the church, even though in some ways they buttonhole me in that area, So I
Oh
guess
man. Yeah.
that's
No.
part
No.
of it.
No.
I would love to say it's my driving, but it's probably not. They probably get that a little more accurate than I'd like.
That's right. That's right. No comment there, Jim.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. Question 4. What's the last TV show that you binged and loved? And I'm guessing Janie probably plays a role in some of that.
Yeah, certainly. That's true. We just finished watching A Place to Call Home, and
Okay.
it's the Downton Abbey of Australia. So it was set in
Oh,
Australia in the early 50s, but still a lot of World War II. We don't realize how much Australia participated with England and the United States, and the lead character was a Jewish woman who what was captured in Paris and taken to a prison camp there during World War II, and how that affected her. But then she became involved in the family, of this one area. So we've binged that, and I think finished that last week. It may
nice
have been
plug.
5 seasons long.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah,
Nice
yeah.
plug. What's your favorite movie, Jim?
Oh, and then more recently,
Forgive
to,
me. How
to
dare I?
give me a cool younger appeal is Zoe's fabulous playlist or magnificent playlist. I love that, because some of the songs, are older than, but
Oh,
I just really thought that was a neat new show.
wait. Is that the one where she hears music, or and
Yeah,
other
yeah,
people start singing? Oh,
right.
it was good.
Yeah.
You liked it?
Oh yeah, it was magnificent. Oh, it really is. It was just terrific. The
All right.
stories and some of the cast members and everything was one of the women was the original Hamilton cast,
Oh,
and then one of the guys was Pitch Perfect, one of the main
oh,
characters in Pitch Perfect, and some of the others, and so it was terrific. Some of the newer songs that Janie hadn't heard of, that I listened to Sunny 99.1,
there
and
you
so
go.
I heard some, but some of the older songs as well, and the arrangements they do are
Yeah.
just really neat, and the choreography and dancing. So it was neat. Yeah, so it's
Jim,
great. It's a new one.
let it be said, Jim. You are cool, young, and hip.
Yeah, right. No, but thank you for being so kind.
Oh man, that's good. All right, I'll have to watch that show. Yeah, we'll talk after. We'll talk offline. Okay. Sorry, forgive me for moving so fast ahead.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Next question, and I don't know the answer to this, and I feel like with all we've talked about, I should know. But what's Jim McPhail's favorite movie?
Well, I'd have to go back maybe and say The Sting, with Paul Newman and Robert Redford. I remember
Okay.
when that first came out, and that was just a whale of a great movie. Being a sports fan, I went to Field of Dreams with Kevin Costner,
Uh,
not knowing anything about that movie,
yes.
and it just so captivating without a doubt. So that's one of those two are two of my favorites.
All right. What's a concert that you've been to that you'll never forget?
Well, I guess it was about a year ago. We went to the Hugh Jackman concert,
Oh,
uh,
nice.
and it was great. We took my daughters, and of course they said, "Oh, we'll buy the tickets if you pay for them." Well, we were on the front row of the side. Now we weren't on the floor, but the front row of the sides, even with the stage, and so that way we saw a lot of people that were sitting on the floor saw us and came up and visited with us,
Oh,
and saw
awesome.
all kinds of people, as well as just having a great view. But he put on a great concert.
Okay.
He is so talented.
Yeah.
And we bought tickets to, he's supposed to star with Sutton Foster in The Music Man,
Oh,
and we had tickets for Thanksgiving. That because of the pandemic, we found out the last week or two that we have tickets for next June.
okay.
Uh, they're in New York City. So,
Cool.
but I think he's just fabulous.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Very good. Good answer. Okay. What are you reading right now?
Well, I just finished How to Be Anti-Racist,
Yeah.
which is sort of the #1 book.
Yes.
Uh, and then I am about to finish, probably today, the last few pages of Where the Crawdads Sing, which is
Oh, wow.
another one of the #1s. And
Yeah.
that's been a very different coming of age book.
Yep.
And then once I finish Anti-Racist, I am reading White Fragility.
Yeah.
So I'm reading some of the the books that deal with racism, and so
Awesome.
that, because that that's where we are right now.
There we are.
Having
There we are.
to deal with that as well. We should, and we as a church need to lead out on that.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. Good. Good. Glad you're reading those, Jim. Okay. What's on your bedside table right now? This might be a little revealing. What's on your bedside table?
You
Are
mean
you looking?
books or
Are you,
anything?
what is,
Books.
yeah,
Uh,
I thought you might be looking to Janie to answer that question
yeah,
for you.
I know exactly. No kidding. Well,
You
let's
got a
see.
lamp.
Yeah, got a lamp over there. I do keep my phone and reader. I
There you
do
go.
have a reader uh, in that, and um, what? Yeah, my cough drops when I need those. You know, luckily I really haven't used them much.
Look,
I've been fortunate. You
I'll,
know,
I'll
the
tell you.
throat, more the throat than really coughing, just to keep the dryness.
I'm not a betting
And
man. I'm not a betting man, Jim. But I would have put money that Janie would have helped you out with this answer.
Yeah, she did. She's in the background helping me out a little bit.
I know she is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's good.
So
Okay.
that's it. Upcoming, I thought about, but books. There is a new John Grisham and David Baldacci book out, each of them, and I think I've read every one of their books, and
Yeah,
so I'm anxious to read their new one.
I know. Yeah, you're a big fan of those guys. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, without a doubt. Yeah.
Okay, number 9. What's a snapshot of a moment in your life that just brings you joy? What's something that comes to mind?
Uh, you you I certainly doing weddings, and since this is supposed to be quick, for the last number of years, I've done the communion service for senior high work camp, and just being able to stand up and in front of those kids, those upcoming young adults, and to be able to give the message and lead in communion. I One of the things I have not done as much was, I don't, I think it's more important that they receive the communion from the youth leaders. And so I do the liturgy, but let the youth leaders actually serve the communion. Even though I'd love to do it, I realize it's more important for them to receive it from their youth leaders. But that's, one of the great joys.
Good. Next question. Tell me one thing you're deeply grateful for right now.
Oh, I guess certainly, family. Janie and I have been married 41 years now, and
Wow.
and we've had to spend a lot of time together these last 4 months. Uh, so I'm grateful for that, and and certainly our daughters. We just cherish them. So that's great. And just grateful for the experience that I've had, for 23 years now at Memorial Drive. So I probably am triple your tenure, even though you're
Yeah.
beginning to get quite a few years. Still barely tripled your tenure.
That's
So
great.
that's
Great.
sort of it. Yeah.
All right. And last question, Jim McPhail.
Yeah.
What do you hope is the first thing that God says to you when you reach heaven?
I guess welcome. Glad you made it. No, you, I'm not sure. I guess part of it will be, our reaction. I
Yeah.
anticipate would be
Yeah.
so humbled and whatnot.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Maybe even well done, faithful servant.
I think that's a given, Jim. I think those words
So anyway,
are given. Jim, my friend, you are a great husband, a great father, and a great pastor, and I'm honored to spend this time with you. Thanks so much for your time on Soul Care today, brother, and we will see you soon.
Well, it's been good to be on Soul Care. It's been good to share it with you, as well as being a colleague with you in ministry, Michael, without a doubt.
Thanks, brother.
Bye, brother.
Right. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much for checking out Soul Care. Join us again next week at noon on Friday. Have a great weekend. Bye.